Let's get you the other big international story that is being watched globally. Actually, China's entire Shanghai's entire population of about 25 million are going to be tested for COVID-19 during a two-phase lockdown that's going to last for 9 days beginning today. China has begun its most extensive lockdown in 2 years to conduct mass testing to control a growing outbreak in Shanghai, the financial capital. And questions are being raised now about the economic toll of China's zero COVID strategy. So China's financial capital, its largest city with about 25 million people, is now going under lockdown. Shanghai had managed in the past smaller outbreaks with limited lockdowns in housing compounds, lockdowns in workspaces where the virus was spreading. But now there's a citywide lockdown that will be conducted in 2 phases, and it's really China's most extensive since the central city of Wuhan, when the virus was first detected. That was way back in 2019. And at that point of time, 11 million people were confined to their homes for 76 days. Since then, we've seen a record of 3,450 symptomatic COVID cases that were reported in Shanghai on Sunday, accounting for nearly 70% of the nationwide total. So let's get more on this lockdown. Let's go across to Shanghai, actually, where joining us are Siddharth Sinha and Madhumita Bhuyan. They are the co-founders of the Chaitya Arts Foundation and, of course, an organization that works with Indians who live in China. So first and foremost, thank you both for joining us. If I can just ask, what has Monday meant for you? What is it like to be in Shanghai right now? When you say it's a lockdown there, what does this mean for all of you residents of Shanghai?
Thank you for having us on your show. I think this Monday has come to us as not quite as a shocker, because we were kind of prepared to get such a news, because over the last 14 days, over the last two weeks, we've had limited sort of lockdowns with 2 days lockdowns and 1 day free, and then 2 days lockdown and then 1 day free. But by saying lockdown, these were more of community lockdowns, which meant that only the housing complexes and the markets were closed for a while. They were tested. We were all tested. The medical facilities were given to us within our compounds. So everyone in the housing block were tested. And then 1 day was left for us to go out to buy things and gather our household things. But that has changed over the weekend. As in Shanghai is divided by the river Huangpu. Yeah. So one side of the city has been asked to lock down since last night for 4 days. And then from 1st of April till 5th, the other side will be locked down. So in a phased manner that is being done. So there was a lockdown, not a lockdown, and now there is a lockdown, which is really a lockdown.
So, let me ask you, you all have been living there for a while, and China really has been pursuing one of the world's strictest virus elimination policies, right? Most countries are now coming to terms with trying to live with the coronavirus. And of course, this has raised questions about how long China can hold on to its zero COVID goal. How is that? What's the narrative? What are the reactions you're getting on the ground from analysts, from regular people to this?
I think the zero COVID policy is something that China has been able to maintain quite successfully, but because it benefits them, because they are not able to, they completely, that they don't allow any chance of having any COVID patients coming into the country. So it has worked well for them till now. We, for the local people, I think it is the first time after Wuhan was closed for 75 days, and when they opened, everything was safe and it went all well. But with Omicron, it seems like they are caught on the wrong foot. I mean, I have to say that, because we live here. It has spread, and they're trying their best. But I think that, yes, even within the local people, there would be some resentment, of course, when day-to-day life gets disturbed there will be resentments for sure.
Yeah, people, they are getting panic, like because when 2020, 21, 2 years, we had a very normal life here when the whole world was suffering COVID-19. We had a very normal life. We are going to the office, no mask required. But still the policies are very strict here because they believe in zero COVID. But now I think that after this Hong Kong thing, Shanghai, a little bit it's going out of the hand, but they're trying their best to control COVID, this Omicron virus.
But I'm trying to understand, we know that China had very strict norms, right? Like anyone, even if you were asymptomatic, you had to be checked into a hospital. But given, like you said, it's the Omicron variant, which is very contagious, is there a softening of the official government policy, like making it, more realistic given the kind of variant we are up against?
I think, yes. I think they have softened their stand on the COVID policy. Earlier, it was if there was any symptomatic cases, you will have to go to a hospital or quarantine for 14 days in a particular area, which seems to have softened a little bit because, for example, it's our example that over the last 2 weeks, we've had tests every 2 days.
Yeah.
And over the weekend, we were given the antigen kits to test ourselves. So of course there is, and now if somebody is to be found asymptomatic, they would still take them away to the quarantine center.
Yeah.
However, if you are a contact of a contact, or even a contact of a contact of a contact of a asymptomatic person, then you're supposed to stay home for 14 days and take those tests. But I think what is remarkable here is to recognize the efforts made by the local authorities and the paramedics services that are available here, that going to every block of the city with such a huge city with such a huge population. It is not an easy work to accomplish. So, but that has to be appreciated. While there is a panic, people are fearful of the lockdown. They want to store food. So that would, of course, be there. But a good thing is that the government has just come up with a press conference today, confirming that the airport, the railway services, the delivery services are all open. So all in all, looks to be under control.
Things are under control.
But again,
so we're not seeing any
lockdown.
images of what we're seeing in Hong Kong, for example, where the infrastructure is overwhelmed, etc. We're nowhere close to that.
No.
Not at all. Of course, this is China.
Not at all.
So let me lastly ask you, this is the financial capital and it's 26 million people going under lockdown. There is bound to be, already we're seeing reverberations of this being felt globally on the stock markets, etc., etc. What is the reaction? Because governments all over the world have had to grapple with the fact that when you put in a lockdown, there is going to be an impact on the economy, on China's growth. How is that argument or that narrative being played out in China?
I think lockdown will certainly have some impacts. The fact that there was a news a couple of days back in the national daily or Shanghai daily that the authorities don't want to completely shut down Shanghai, and I think this is one step, that they are locking down half of the city first for 4 days and then the second half. Of course, there are repercussions. Of course, there are businesses that will suffer a little bit because the logistics, the deliveries that will suffer, financial capabilities. People are not able to go to office. I think there will be some financial losses for sure. But then we have to look back at the last 2 years, that the financial gains have been so much and so huge that I think that gives them the confidence to fight this battle. That's what it is.
All right. Siddharth Sinha, Madhumita Bhuyan, thank you so much for joining us.